Hello, everyone. Good morning, good afternoon, and good evening, wherever you are watching. This is the Potter and the Clay Media, echoing the voice of the voiceless. Currently, Nigeria is in the news for a reason we all know about. I am talking about the Christian genocide in the northern part of Nigeria. There are times you hear opinion from other regions that are not directly affected by the killing in Nigeria. Is it true that there is Christian genocide in the northern parts of Nigeria? Please watch and give me your opinion.
The world is just standing by.
Couldn't have said it better myself. It's an absolute tragedy what is happening to Christians in Nigeria, and I want everybody listening to really get this and understand this statistic. Okay, they say, why Nigeria? Nigeria is responsible for 90% of all Christian persecution deaths worldwide in the last 5 years.
Yeah, it's just incredible.
And no one hears about it. No one's talking about it.
And has been happening on a daily basis since 9/11.
Yes.
You know, that's one of the things that I learned reporting on this is that just, it was astonishing to me is that on the very day that 9/11, that the attacks happened in the United States, the same people who were on those planes, and I mean in the sense of they were carrying the same flag and they were saying the same slogans and they were standing for the same ideology, walked into a village in northern Nigeria and massacred over 200 Christians. And that village was called Rankum, and it was renamed in the language of the Fulani terrorists, Muslim terrorists who were the ones who went and killed everybody. They took that village and they renamed it Mahanga because it is essentially the command and control center of this genocide.
Yes, and the interesting part is that the Nigerian government knows it. The U.S. government should know it, and if they're paying attention, I hope they know it now. But this is where the majority of terror attacks are staged and launched from. And like I said, everybody in Nigeria knows where it's coming from. They see the terrorists coming in and out of Mahanga.
And they chose Mahanga. I mean, it translated, the word means watchtower.
Watchtower.
Because
yes.
it's on high ground. Mm-hmm. And it was perfectly positioned for them for what began as a series that's now more than 20 years of attacks.
20 years of attacks and tens of thousands, no, I say hundreds of thousands have now been killed, staged from that ground.
And wounded and forced out.
And so that's killed. Over 100,000 Christians have been killed. Now, let's talk about the people that are still alive. They're now in camps called IDP camps, which stands for internally displaced person. And we estimate that there's between 3 to 5 million IDPs right now. These are Christians without homes, without villages that are living in camps.
These are people who've been robbed of everything they had, who've been forced off their land, and basically are mired in poverty and misery because very often the Nigerian government won't even acknowledge their existence.
No, they won't acknowledge their existence, and this it's a double-edged sword. So you have IDP camps. Then when the Nigerian government doesn't recognize an IDP camp within their own country, that means there's no UN, that means there's no Red Cross, that means there's no other NGO, official government organization, USAID, or what used to be USAID, means those people get zero help if the Nigerian government doesn't establish and say, this is an official camp. And we know that Nigeria government only recognizes 40% of the camps that exist. So that means 60% of these millions of IDPs get zero help from the outside world.
It also, it raises the curious question of why does the Nigerian government not acknowledge the existence of these people?
There's a few different reasons. One of the main reasons is the Nigerian government likes to lie to itself. And they also like to pretend that things are better than they actually are. And by doing so, if the Nigerian government says it doesn't exist, well, then the rest of the world says it doesn't exist. And that means Nigeria looks better on paper for whatever reason. Mm. And it's like a dog and pony show that the Nigerian government likes to play.
Well, if you admit to the world that Christians are being systematically and intentionally massacred
Yes.
on your watch and cleansed from the land as they are being, then you have to do something about it. The world expects you to do something about it.
Well, then you're supposed to do something about it. So there's the other part of this is that, yes, the Nigerian government is complicit, especially in the last, 8 years with 2 Muslim presidents in a row where they have turned a blind eye to the killings and have done nothing to stop it.
Well, when they actually know that killings are going to happen and they don't intervene.
Yes, and that's one of the things. So as part of our organization, we created Truth Nigeria, a outlet for journalists in Nigeria to tell the truth, because the Nigerian government doesn't want this information getting out. And if the Nigerian government doesn't say the story's getting out, they're not reporting it. And so we want to give an outlet to Truth Nigeria. So part of that project is we've been able to get intelligence and issue terror alerts. And so in 2024, we issued over 64 terror alerts.
And you issue a terror alert when what is happening?
So when we issue a terror alert, the police are notified, military is notified, local government officials are notified, the villages are notified, and
they're notified of what?
That there's an impending attack coming to your area.
And how do you know that?
Intelligence.
From having your ear to the ground.
From having our
locally.
ear to the ground. We have our organizations operating in villages all over Nigeria, and people talk, people know things, and we've told people, if you hear something, you hear something, see something,
speak up.
us know.
Okay, so just so people understand, you have your organization Equipping the Persecuted.
Yes.
And that does what exactly?
So Equipping the Persecuted was formed to be a boots-on-the-ground mission to respond to the attacks of persecuted Christians. So to the best of our ability and the resources we have, we try to respond to an attack within 48 hours with food, medicine, aid, anything we can do to help these people that have lost everything they had. And a lot of it, because when the villages are burned and razed to the ground, all the food supply is destroyed. Mm-hmm. They have no sleeping mats. They're just left with the clothes on their backs. And so the first thing they need is food. They need medicine. And then what became a big part of our mission is we now really help the wounded victims that are still surviving. So we pay for the medical costs of the surgeries. We send doctors in to treat the wounded.
Wow.
To help the kids that have machete wounds, bullet wounds. We try to patch them up and save as many lives as possible.
Guy Tom Garba, and he has TG News, and
Yes.
he's worked, with the journalists of Truth Nigeria in the past.
Yes.
These guys are kind of all cut from the same cloth. They live and work in this extraordinarily violent and dangerous area where Christians are being hunted every single day, and yet they go out and they document the massacres, and not just the killings, but the infrastructure and mechanism of the genocide.
Yeah.
Which involves, like you said, killing the food supply, right? So launching an attack right before the crops are about to be harvested.
Exactly.
And destroying everything.
Right. So it's one of the tactics that they use for terror is they'll wait till the farmers plant the crops, grow the crops, and right before harvest, they'll come in, kill the village, they'll destroy all the crops. I mean, it's a form of terror that is demoralizing because
you've got nothing left.
Because they have nothing left. And they worked hard all year long to raise these crops, and now they're completely destroyed.
Well, that's the thing that people don't realize, right? In America, you can just go to the store, you get whatever you want all year round. Over there, these people, where they live, there is nothing. There is no industry or anything. The crops are how they survive. They sell that crop once a year, and they live off that money for the rest of the year.
Money for the rest of the year.
Wow, Nigeria, where did you go wrong? That was a lot. If all of this is true, what can we call it? Genocide? Christian persecution? Please share your comments, give me your thoughts. Part 2 coming soon.